thank you all for being here today. We are going to get started. Before we do, this is our session on marketing, AI, and promoting your show. Let's have our panelists introduce themselves really quick, and we'll get right into the questions. Hold your own questions until the end. We'll do a Q&A at the end where we will try to promptly go through our answers, about 5 minutes each, so that we can have this be more of an open podcast-like dialogue. We like that. We like feedback come in and out. So let's go ahead and start with you. Look at my friend. Announce yourself. Who are you? What do you do?
My name is Pablo. No, I'm kidding. So guys, I'm Luis. I'm one of the Luises from Bistros and Studio Podcast Suite. So we run the podcast studio and we do content production the last 8 years we've done. So fun stuff. Host of the Content is Profit podcast, part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Good friends with everybody here in the community. I see a couple of studio customers here. Awesome. Thank you guys. And
my name is Pablo. My name really is Pablo Gonzalez. Man, I got a company. I started this mission of proving that community creation is a really viable tool for business development about 10 years ago. And I started a business around that. And part of that business includes podcasting, kind of like as a tool for leverage and content creation and bringing people together. I have worked very closely with this guy. I have worked very closely and continue to work very closely with Rita a lot. And pumped to be here.
And then I'll just put my quick plug in. My name is Rita. I'm your podcast fairy godmother. I am obsessed with helping people learn how to become better hosts, learn how to edit their own podcasts. Just consider me your podcast fairy godmother, your coach. And I'm a strategist as well, too. And I also have my own show called Bippity Boppity Business. And also, we've worked closely together. When I'm not hosting my own show, I host some corporate business shows as well, too. Okay, but that's not about me, so let's get to that.
wow, fancy.
We got one more Luis.
So guys.
Pablo? No, just kidding. Go ahead and introduce your
Well, I gotta introduce myself,
Yes.
or you already?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, go.
Oh, well, I'm the brother of this Luis. My name is Luis as well, so it's pretty easy to remember.
That's true.
Yeah.
True story.
Obviously, this other half of the Content is Profit show. I'm not sure. I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. And I'm also a new dad, so maybe that's
Excuses.
that's my excuse. We're getting here a couple minutes late.
Yeah.
Papa Luis, so yeah. Or they call me Fonzie, so they kind of distinguish.
Hey, the fun.
There we go. We got a great crowd out here.
Oh yeah.
But besides that, I think me and my brother, we have a little bit of a different personality in terms of like how we approach content, how we do things. So, our podcast, it's the conversations that we have in there, and kind of like both different visions clashing a little bit, makes it a little bit interesting. And I'm here to hopefully help you guys in any way that you guys can to get closer to your goals in podcasting.
Are you going to jump the shark?
Am I gonna what?
Jump the shark.
I don't know. This is gonna be very disappointing.
I feel it already.
Yeah.
It's like
Story time. We need context, all right? So, we're from Venezuela.
I got it.
We didn't watch the Fonz over there.
Yeah. Poser!
Get away!
Pause.
I'll take it back.
Fonzie actually started because of the singer from Despacito, Luis Fonsi.
Oh,
There you go. So there you go. Now, I used to hate that nickname, and then my brother, he knew that, so he started telling everybody like, yeah, you should call him Fonzie, and I was like, don't call me Fonzie. And then one person said like, oh, but the Fonz is awesome, and I was like, dude, who's the Fonz? And I saw the guy like, hey, and I was like, oh, that's cool, right? So I still haven't seen it yet, but now
He has no idea.
I was going to give it back to you, and then you said, how the hell you said
taking it back again.
I'm going to jump the shark and get the conversation started.
Do it.
I see what you
Rita, that's why we have her here.
So we'll go ahead and get started. My first question that I have here is, what's one simple marketing move that's working for podcasts right now? Think about just like an easy start, easy end. Don't go into an omni-channel and email, newsletter, all that. Like, let's just One simple marketing move that's working for podcasts right now. Any takers?
I feel like it's
I thought we were starting like this way.
Okay, all right, I'll start. First of all, Fonzie, thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate you making
We
time.
haven't seen him in 4 months.
Really appreciate you
Very
making time.
important.
Really appreciate you making time. You said not to say newsletters, but newsletter is really what's working for me right now.
Well, then I love that. Tell me more.
Yeah, newsletter is really working for me right now. Just a little known fact, or maybe it's a very well known fact, but you can take the transcript of your podcast. You can train a custom GPT in your voice and in like storytelling tactics, and throw it into ChatGPT and say, hey, from this part of the conversation, I want you to write a piece that takes somebody from thinking this to thinking that. How would you structure that? And when it comes back to you, you can then be like, oh, okay, I like this idea, I like that idea. How would you write each different piece? And kind of like massage it from there, and you start to develop this really like innovative, unique content with a unique voice, because it's not just ChatGPT slop or SEO trash, but it's really your voice and your ideas. And if you start playing offense with that, I'm about to publish a book out of this like podcast that I've been running for about 6 months on this one topic. So it works. Yeah.
This might be a little controversial for a little bit, but I think we tend to ignore running ads to our podcast, right? And frequency and consistency, obviously, it's very important. It's like how many episodes are we publishing a week? I know it depends on capacity, production levels, length of the podcast. But a way that we can get feedback really quick is running ads to that podcast, right? And trying to find out, are people actually listening to the full thing? Cold traffic versus your own audience, and trying to figure out how to get better. Because if we extend, the average listen from 50% to 70%, we're becoming better probably at delivering the information. And then we can like lean on that to continue to promote the podcast in different distribution channels. So, if you have your podcast on YouTube, promotions can be a very, very, very simple way to get started on that. But there's also ads platforms that you can do on audio only, for example, right? That you can test as little as $100, and it'll give you good data to start, expanding that.
Well, I have a follow-up question to that too in a second about video, but go ahead and follow up first.
Oh, I was going to say, you can follow up. That's good. On my end, I think lately what I've noticed and what I personally want to start implementing as well, I wouldn't say, we haven't really implemented ourselves, so it's more of a hypothesis, what I've been observing, but is contextualize your content so it appeals to a bigger audience at first, and then narrow as you share in your message, just because I know, the riches are in the niches, right? And if you make your message very specific when you're trying to sell your idea, it's only going to resonate with a smaller percentage of the people out there. And then only a smaller percentage of that is actually the people that are going to click in the content. But if we can contextualize, or let's say our title, right? Like the first thing that people are seeing into something a little bit broader, right? Not clickbaity, but a little bit broader. We're still only going to get a percentage of people that see it to click on that. But that percentage might be bigger than the audience that we're actually targeting inside of our niche, right? And we're going to get, hopefully, then delivering our message, right? Looking at our analytics, see if the retention is there or whatnot. We're going to deliver the message and narrow it down into something more specific. So I've been noticing that also with like bigger podcasts, right? How they put their on their titles, right? It's very appealing to a very broad, segment of the listeners.
Context question: how many of you have business podcasts or related to business, and then entertainment podcasts? Okay. I think that's also important to kind of notice the distinction of both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to add something to that because I actually have noticed what you're talking about as well too. How does the podcast fit into your content as a whole? And what I've learned is that your social channels obviously are going to be where people find you. So you want that to be a bit more broader, like maybe even broader than the podcast itself, so that you can attract those people. Humor, personal storytelling, day in the life type content, like really try to attract people like who've never ever seen you before. That's what your social channels are for. Yes, you can repurpose clips, but if your entire channel is just clips, they don't understand who the heck you are or what the point of the podcast is. So try to diversify your content if you can.
Your YouTube channel is like a step where you kind of dive a little bit deeper, where they get to learn more about you. If you're deciding to put your podcast there, you can absolutely do that. But it's kind of like the stepping stone in between the podcast is YouTube. So you can make like related content where you can react to things in that niche, or you can do events where you go to events and interview people, stuff that doesn't really fit into your podcast, but you still want to attract people and drive it to your podcast. Your YouTube channel is super great for that. And then the podcast can be like a little bit more niche, but taking what he's saying, which is making the title just semi-broad. But like, for example, like I made the mistake of making my YouTube channel the name of my podcast, Bippity Boppity Business, but that limited me from making content outside of my podcast. So just think bigger. Like think about the brand as a whole, you as a whole person. Like your channel would be like, because my name's Rita, like my YouTube channel should be Rita Risha, and then your podcast is a playlist within that channel. So just think about it like that, because I had it flipped and it was kind of hard to get people to come to my channel because YouTube is different than podcast listenership. So, which is a great segue. 2, is video important? This is the big issue with podcasts. It's like, do I need to have video? Is audio dead? You know, what's your hot take on video podcasting, in your opinion, as it relates to growing your show and trends?
Why don't we start on the other side this time?
Oh!
Just a snake draft.
Might be biased here, but I'll say yes. I think video is very important to the overall strategy. Definitely helps with creating assets for then promoting your podcast in different channels. I will say, caveat here, there are podcasts that are audio only that I listen to that I absolutely love, that I think they can create an experience that you cannot create on video. Sometimes having that, being, I don't know, super immersive and, sounds and all this stuff. But I listen a lot of interviews, shows, and I do like looking at those, right? I think there's an element of trust that creates when you can see the person that is delivering the message, the person that is interviewing the guest, the host in this case, right? There's something, right? Body language is important, right? I think I learned it from Tony Robbins, but I'm sure he wasn't the first one that said it, right? But like communication is like 70% like your body language, right? So when you're watching, the video, somebody expressing, you can tell whether they're like being truthful or not. Hopefully my body language is good. You can tell those things and those cues. So again, I think, yes, it is important for those main points, right? Assets for promotion, and then just building a deeper connection with the audience.
On my side, obviously, I agree with what he says because we run the same company. But also, I think it's important to acknowledge maybe what are our resources, right? Do we have a team that can help us, turn that video into other assets, right? Do we have an AI agent that can help us do that, for example? Do we have the time to do it, right? So based on if we are running our own production or if we have a department or a team that can do it effectively, awesome. Every piece of content is a hypothesis, test things out, right? We had this conversation last week for our own podcast, right? We do exclusively clips for our show. And they got to a plateau and we're like, what else can we either replace, add, do something different? And we just started brainstorming ideas. And it's based on our resources, right? Hey, what editor are we going to put to do this, right? Do we have an actual editor that can do that type of content? Obviously, video is a bigger platform to multi-purpose and do something different. But also, think about your creation method. Do you actually enjoy creating video? Because if you do not enjoy creating video or don't like talking to a camera, that content might not be authentic, right? And people will be like, crap.
You can tell when you don't want to be there.
And we have these conversations with people in the studio all the time because, like, obviously they see the cameras, they're like, oh my gosh, like, do I have to be in video? No, we don't. Like, you can have a conversation. That's why you came in yesterday, right? And just recorded an audio-only podcast. And that's great. You can relax, and maybe the content is delivered better that way. So start playing with that idea and then growing from there. Your listeners are going to know, right? Start connecting with them on things like newsletters. Ask them, do you guys actually want video, right? Maybe they're like, no, we actually listen to you, doing, laundry or doing stuff at home. I don't even see your face. I'm okay with that, right? And that feedback loop is going to allow you to start planning what the next stage is.
I just want to put a plug in for these guys' show because it's like world-class content strategy, and they are this funny and like this goofy all the time. It's really good energy. I listen to it often.
Thank you, Pablo.
And I'll also say, you're welcome. I have never in my life watched a video podcast, right? Like I just don't, I'm not a YouTuber, right? Like I'm a listener, I'm a multitasker, whatever. That being said, if anybody here, if one of the Farah and Farah guys walked in this room, would anybody geek out? No. Would you be like, oh my God, it's Farah and Farah. Like those guys are famous. No, you hate them?
Let's try somebody else.
I'm just saying, face recognition being
important.
seen everywhere is a status symbol that people react to in a certain way, right? Like I don't know if these dudes are good dudes or not, right? But like if I saw them, I would feel like I ran into Ronald McDonald or somebody, a celebrity. And yeah, you know them, right? So what I'll tell you is that I've driven results via podcasting without ever growing a podcast beyond like 200 listeners. The big results that I get often is, dude, I see your face everywhere on social media because they see little videos of me on social media all the time. And a podcast is a great engine to create this stuff with very little friction, right? Frictionless content is what these guys called it when they first started their business. And that makes a lot of sense, right? So the ability to have your your voice out there and people dive deep with you and your thoughts and in your podcast is phenomenal. That is the ultimate kind of like relationship builder of people having you in their ears as they are cooking or walking the dog or their morning commute or whatever, right? That's like a ultimate relationship building experience. But before you get there, they have to be like, oh, who's this person? Right? Like, and then they got to be like, oh, I've seen this person before, and this time they said something interesting. Maybe I'm gonna check into that, right? So you get a lot of mileage out of that. And these days, you can hire a world-class team that's going to do the repurposing for you and do all that. But there's also so many tools that exist today that didn't exist when we first started working doing this stuff, right? Like,
100%.
yeah. So like.
Remember when you had to transcribe anything by hand?
100%, 100%, right? So there's just like a very low-hanging fruit of take the video, put it into like a Descript or Opus Clip or whatever, and bam, you're just everywhere, right? Like, and that like that level of like recognition really, really helps when you're trying to build relationships. It really, really helps when you're inviting people on your show to be a guest, right? Like it adds extra status, which opens doors to you.
I completely agree. My perspective is future-proof your content, guys. In 5 years from now, I don't know, maybe you want that first interview that you did that was on audio. Maybe you want to have that video footage. Like, we don't know where that content is going to take you. So it's better for you to film it. If you don't edit it, it's fine. It's better for you to have it than not have it at all. That's how I feel about it, even if you're just starting out with audio only. Yes?
Everybody's saying that back and forth, and what we break it down in our team is the difference between documentation and content. You document everything, but not everything gets to be content. Just get used to the documentation process.
Yep.
And that's just the TLDR version of it. So.
100%. And one thing I would like to add is what you were talking about is ask your audience. Different people learn and consume content differently. Different age demographics do, different niches do. Like if you are a female founder and you are running a business and you also happen to be a mom, you might prefer listening to your content versus sitting down and having the time to watch it. If you are having a comedy podcast where it's kind of catered to millennials or a younger crowd, video is going to be important for you. So there's not a one-size-all-fits answer, but like you were saying, it's better for you to document than to not have it at all. And definitely ask your audience. Yes.
I'm talking about future-proofing our content, but also using AI. I think it's important to like think about the ethics of that, especially when we have other countries that are developing, laws and regulations about the ethics involved in AI. Is that something that you guys would consider as you're using AI, as far as like the repercussions that can happen, several years from now?
So I 100% agree with that. Personally, for me, I have found I use a tool called Cast Magic, which only takes your audio and repurposes and creates the content specifically from the words that came out of your mouth. You know what I mean? So it really depends on what tools you want to use. I also use ChatGPT as well too. But I also think it's important for you to, if you're seriously considering this to be a brand, consider trademarking it as well too. Like if you want to get your name trademark or your IP trademark, like that's a whole other like legal conversation. For me, it's a balance. I think of AI as more of a calculator and a tool of a means to an end, and I'm not using it to replace the parts of what make the human part so human. Like you will not catch me having a podcast where it's an AI person talking back to me. You know what I mean? But like I might use the tool to help me auto-transcribe the podcast and stuff like that. So just think about what it is you're using it for and just be responsible about it, and it's up to your own discretion. But like I would not use AI generated art personally for my cover art, for example. I might use it to mock up a vibe of like the storyboard of maybe like an idea, and then I would go to an artist and actually have them like execute that. So again, I don't think it's one of those gray areas. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just how you use it and what you use it to create for. So
There was an episode that Fonzie came in with a file, and at the end of the episode, he said, "Hey, dude, I found these 2 people. They listened to our show, and I want you to listen to it and then give me feedback." So we played it, right? And I was like, "Damn, they love our show. This is incredible. They kind of got all the points." And he's laughing, and then he's like, "Okay, listen to this other clip." And it's like this guy and woman talking to each other, and this was like the Google's model. I can't remember what the name was, but it was AI. Not Gemini. It was an education product.
Notebook alum.
Yeah. So basically, fed the episode, they understood, and then they had a conversation about the episode with no prompts at all. And this is a tool that is used in education to help people learn and kind of go through these lessons. But it sounded just like 2 people having a conversation, right? So at that point, it's like, wow, it's really scary. Like, am I actually listening to a human being or like an AI version of this fake content? But also we're seeing platforms now like YouTube, for example, demonetizing channels that are fully AI, right? Because you have like these faceless channels giving information about X, Y, Z, and they're easy to recognize. So it's important to stay on top of like news, for example, of like what are these platforms doing? But like Rita mentioned, AI is a tool that you can push, is a lever, right? Like, can we produce faster? Maybe there's a step or 2 that we can include a process of AI, like on Descript or Cast Magic or Capture. Like there's
so many,
1,000 tools that can help you move the needle forward a little bit. But at the end of the day, people want to connect with human beings, right? So am I making a little mistake? Is my accent for real? I'm not faking my accent, 100%, right? My English is not very good looking. I get it. I understand it. It's fine. 600 episodes, people still, we still mess up the intros. That's part of the brand. That's part of like why, people connect with us. So lean into those things and then use AI to kind of pull the levers for production speed optimization, different parts of the process.
And if anything, like video can help humanize yourself too. If you're worried about the sustainability of what it is you're doing, maybe you do want to have your face on camera so that you show like, hey, this is me, like all of me and my weird, Disney, pins or Mickey Mouse ears or whatever it is you wear on your podcast. Like, don't be afraid to be yourself and show your face. But if you don't use it, it's okay. Better to have it than to not. Okay. So AI could be like a whole other 4-day conference, I feel like. So let's kind of just maybe let's caveat a little bit on more of the social media version of all of this. So if I'm starting my podcast and I'm trying to decide where do I put my podcast social media content, obviously it's going to go out on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. But if I want to figure out what social media channels I should put my podcast on, what's the first social media channel you think this person should start? And where did you start? If you don't know the answer and you're scared of it, where did you start posting your content first on social media?
I would say local market podcast. Facebook is awesome, right? Like people from the community and old people, of course, like old people like me. I'm 44. So I guess it's all contextual. I don't feel like I'm going to say anything that everybody here isn't already going to say, right? But just real quick, local market, Facebook, right? Real estate investor, Facebook, right? It's all local face-to-face deals. B2B content, LinkedIn, right? Personal branding content, Instagram, stuff like that. I've found the most success in that, in the idea of like leveraging face-to-face interactions that come from that get nurtured, either get started online or get nurtured online by continuing the conversation. And because of that, in real estate, Facebook has been very instrumental. And nowadays I'm in AI, right? Like LinkedIn is super, super instrumental. And I would say that LinkedIn, from a professional standpoint, still has, man, it's still got so many legs. Like LinkedIn, it's like less algorithmic and more network building. So it feels more human in that regard. But again, I'm not like a big audience guy. I'm a relationship guy. So.
Well, can I add one more thing to the LinkedIn part? Because even if you don't have a business podcast, but you're trying to reach out to business sponsors and to like partnerships and brand deals, they're all on LinkedIn. So maybe you don't post all the time and repurpose all the time your podcast, like clips, like, you know, it's not your target audience, but maybe you talk about the business behind the scenes or what you're doing behind the scenes and start networking and reaching out to those people and asking them like what events they have going on. Can you go to them? Whatever. So I do think LinkedIn is huge right now for podcasting in general. Okay, go ahead.
I think it comes down also like what's the goal of your show, right? Like who are you serving? Who are you talking to? You might even not need to be on social media, to be completely honest, right? Like the most traction that we've had in our show is because we're a part of a HubSpot podcast network, and they've advertised our show in shows like My First Million.
I just heard that advertisement this morning.
Sweet. Thank you. So, and even if we had no social media, the main show grows because we're part of that network. So where are the pockets of people that you talk to on your podcast, right? So, you know, from entertainment shows, let's say, we've been talking for a year now to launch a football show, for example, soccer show, right? Where are the pockets of people that will listen to that show, right? The, you know, Fox Sports, you know, junkies, or like other shows that we can do that we can maybe buy advertisement there, show up, interview, collaborate. What are those Facebook groups? Where is that LinkedIn community that we have? For us, big time events, in-person events is probably the number one driver.
Huge, underrated.
Yeah, because we get to connect with a lot of people, and especially if it's in our industry, we share the podcast. People already listen to podcasts, so the friction point there is minimum, and immediately we get a listener. And if it resonates, they stay a ton because they met us in person, right? So maybe social media might not be the place to start, but identify those pockets of people within social media. So, and if it's a podcast about, you know, fatherhood, where are the dads hanging out, right? In what Facebook group, in what community? Might be a school community, right? Start connecting one-on-one, like Pablo's saying, and be like, dude, I have this show. Will you take a listen? I think a good company that does this is Podmatch with Alex, and they're incredible. He says, my strategy is to get one listener a day, right? And he's in these Facebook groups that people are asking questions. And he's like, oh, dude, here's the answer. And he plugs an episode that's relatable to the solution that they're looking for.
Reddit also, too, is a huge place. Like, if you don't want to be posting all the time, but you want to be more interacting, there's people that ask questions within your niche's community where you can, like, answer it honestly and then say, by the way, I actually did a podcast episode about this if you want to learn more.
I mean, personally, on my end, I think it's, you can find probably anybody in any social media. You know, there's like millions of people like in each platform. I personally see it on where you're gonna have the longest streak, where you're gonna stick the most. Like, if you like Instagram, I'll probably recommend you to go there and promote on Instagram, right? If you like hanging out in Facebook groups, go and do it there. The reason I said is because you want to be consistent if that's gonna be part of your strategy, right? Like, sorry, Pablo, but I hate LinkedIn. You know, I can go on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is.
No offense, but I can tell.
This is why this show is so good, because I love LinkedIn.
So like, I don't even care. Like, sure, some content comes out there, and like we have the resources, the team that might go and, you know, post content, but I'm actually not going on LinkedIn and like analyzing how that post did for us, right? For me, my main metric is, well, the podcast, you know, what are actually those metrics in there? And I like Instagram a little bit better. So I'm like, okay, on Instagram, has the content that we've been publishing been working out? Our answer recently was no. Change it, right? Like, what is the new hypothesis? we need to change the hooks, right? And we're gonna test this out for 90 days. Do different stuff, etc. I enjoy that way more than. Again, I love Pablo's profile. It's my favorite one on LinkedIn. It's amazing. But and I think again you can find your audience.
Yeah, find your people.
In any of the platforms.
I mean, when you guys talk about frictionless content, part of the friction is if you're going to be in a platform that you don't like, you're just not going to want to do it, right?
Yeah.
So like in all content creation, it's just like remove the speed bumps that like stop you from moving forward.
Yep.
Whether it's you just need a corner to sit down and press play so that you're not like overthinking like, oh my God, what's my background going to be?
Yep.
Or what platform do I naturally like to be on? And therefore you will naturally just be better at that, right? Like it's way easier to get good at something you like.
Yeah, this morning we have a Q&A session in a community called Business Creator Club, and we're having an example, and we had this one clip that went mega viral, right? 1.2 million from the podcast. Nothing changed. And we're like, what happened here? And I'm sharing the example, and in my mind was 700,000 people. And I'm like, let's check. I do not log into TikTok. And to the point that it was uninstalled on my phone. I had to like reinstall it, go in, and it grew to 1.2 million, that one clip. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow. Well, first of all, indicator, outlier, what happened here? And we still have no idea because all the content, it's like 2,000 saves,
TikTok,
right? So the content is useful for like business people. This guy talking about like a red shirt strategy. But when you read the comments, it's nothing about business. It's all smiley faces, crying, laughing faces. And you're like, what's happening here? It could be.
They wanted you to download the app.
Probably. But again, that some people will look like, wow, 1.2 million views in this clip. Did it actually drove traffic to the show? We cannot pinpoint it. Just
That's actually so important. I love that you brought that up because a lot of people will hyper-focus on the clips and then they'll forget about the show itself. Like, it all comes down to your show at the end of the day. And if you're not ready to be on social and you're not ready to do that, another underrated thing is being on other people's podcasts is a great way to grow your show. Be a guest on somebody else's show that has a similar target audience to your show. And I did kind of throw shade on newsletters just because I don't personally like to do them, but they actually are amazing. And if you can get your podcast featured in somebody else's newsletter, like mine was, then I didn't have to write the newsletter, and it got, and then it went to somebody else's audience too. So basically, the summary of what we're saying here is figure out what you're good at, what you like, understand your audience, be consistent, and go from there.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure. All right, let's do
Question.
let's do Q&A. Yeah.
He's got a question for that.
Okay, I wanted to, my name's Christopher Johnson with Twist the Knobs Podcast.
Twist the knife?
Twist the Knobs
Cool.
Podcast. So, I guess right where you was leaving off at, being featured on other people's podcasts.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, is there some sort of like website or platform that like directory of these people? Like, say for instance, everybody here was just affiliated with some sort of website or something that we could go to and it's like
Podmatch.
Did Alex Sanfilippo plant you there to ask that question?
Yes, there is actually, and the man who created it is here on the premises. Not in this room right now.
Yeah.
I don't think he's here. But it's called Podmatch.
He's speaking in the other room.
And it's he's speaking in the other room. So it's a directory where you can go on and search different shows and actually like look up these things to see if you want to do a pod swap. You can like send them like he calls it like Tinder but for podcasting, but not weird because it's like so there's that, but there's also another tool, like if you see like maybe your niche is not on Podmatch for whatever reason, first of all get on it so that it can be, but if it's not, there's a tool I use called Listen Notes. And Listen Notes is like a search engine for podcasting. It's kind of like Google for podcasts, where you can like type in a certain keyword or niche and find those podcasts there and see if you can reach out to them like on social or email and ask them if you want to, hey, I love your episode. Could I be a guest on your show? Stuff like that.
Do you have guests on your show?
Or random. It's like various. It's mostly it's like self-help type stuff.
Oh, okay.
But,
Okay.
But I do want to kind of get into where I'm interviewing people and stuff like that. So I'm kind of positioning myself in that manner right now.
Awesome. So for those that are having conversations, whether you're hosting or being a guest, that person that you're having the conversation with, ask him right after the interview, hey, I had this experience was great. I hope you enjoyed it too. Is there somebody else that could be a fit for my show? Or can I be a fit for your show and somebody else?
Who do you know? Big question.
We ask that question after every single guest, and we at least get 3 names per interview. And we haven't had to do any outreach. We're on Podmatch, but we bringing people in. But for us to find guests, it's referral based only.
How many shows in are you guys now?
650.
Let's go.
Over
Yeah.
650
Now, are these people, are they doing this willingly, or do they have a fee or something?
I mean, it
Fonzie's the muscle.
So it depends, right? It's an exchange. So on Podmatch, normally it's completely free. There's some shows that they do charge. In our show, we get pitches every single day. Call, email. You know that it's AI generated. As soon as you respond to what was your favorite part of the show, they don't respond ever. So we just have an automatic response, and we pitch back to be on our show. They have to pay $1,500, and we hear nothing. It's either $1,500 or go to Podmatch and do a request on Podmatch, right? Which is $6 a month, right? It stops there. So, because we don't want to have just anybody, right? At the end of the day, it's your show, it's your property. Like, you control your home, you control your party. At the end of the day, and I want to have somebody that could be,
Okay, anyone else?
And man, just like networking is undefeated.
Yes,
Right?
100%.
Like going to places where you're going to meet interesting people that are going to, likely be somebody that could be on your show or have a show, and meeting them belly to belly. Like, I'm sure that all of us get 3 podcast guest requests.
I came to this event.
That's right. We met together here. Yeah.
So
So just think of it that way, man. Whether it's in person or whether it's online, like, build relationships, right? Like, at the end of the day, a podcast as a relationship building tool is something that will absolutely change your life, whether you get famous or not.
100%. Sad. Snaps for that. Anyone else?
Yeah.
We have 3 minutes.
I think there's something to be said as well, and I like your opinion on, of just building up critical mass. Because for my YouTube channel, I wasn't doing anything. Okay, I purposely didn't do anything. But as it grew, sponsors and stuff started contacting me. So I'd like to hear what you have to say on that.
What's your content about?
Me.
Nice.
Personal content?
Kind of love that. Amazing.
Yeah.
What I try to do is I do a number of different things to show people what they thought was difficult can be easy or wasn't as difficult. So I may do a van life episode. I may do woodworking. I may do gardening.
Awesome.
All kinds of things. Just building.
Why did you start your YouTube channel? Why did you start your YouTube channel?
Oh, it had been there for the longest time.
Yeah.
And just sort of sat. I did podcasting for something like 2 years, did 200 episodes and just got tired of it. Okay. But that creative energy had to go somewhere. So I decided to go to YouTube. And just to put something up to keep myself involved. And that more than anything has surprised me because I wasn't looking for it. Okay. And all of a sudden, when I started my van, I just did a feature. I bought a van, and now I'm outfitting it. And I expected to see maybe 2 or 3 people. 2,000
So awesome.
people showed up.
So cool. Yeah. So I think there's an important element there. It's like,
It was more like work.
yeah. Congrats, by the way. Like that's incredible. And I think an element is like you started for you. Like you started that channel for you, right? We obviously are in the business world, so people treat content as almost like a business property as well. So it's like, okay, we invest this amount of money. Like this is return on investment that we need to have. So it's like very scientific approach, and I think we're big fans of relationships. But when you started out of your passion, people see that. So that's why you had those 2,000 people joining, right? And of course, there's a monetization aspect that comes with brands and companies that want to be a part of that because they can't replicate it.
I didn't monetize. I
Yeah.
didn't monetize. And a number of brands, not big names, one big name,
Yeah.
But
And that's okay.
I got a 1099, so
There
I
you go.
So an
That's
insight
awesome.
I take out of what you're saying, and when you're talking about critical mass, yes, there is a certain level of like, do it. It's a process. Build the reps. In time, like it's a lot easier to get somebody on a show with 200 episodes than on a show with 2 episodes, right? Like there's a certain level of like validation that comes with it. So like sticking with it, developing that critical mass, the skill set, everything that you've learned by doing it, all compounds, right? So like never lose track of that, including how many episodes you have in the bank as a measure of like social validation. But also, I mean, that's another vote for video, right? Like YouTube, like if there's anything, if you've been in the podcast game long enough, you understand that like discoverability is the biggest thing that people suffer from and that like nobody has really solved. YouTube is a discoverability engine, right? So like you had critical mass, you've been parking it there, you have a bunch of videos. The moment that you did something that interests like a wider audience of people that like can like tap in and like be like, oh man, I want to learn from you, you know, like they show up because YouTube does that. So that's a big reason for YouTube as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I totally agree with mass being great and that works, but I've been podcasting since 2017. I said that earlier. But I'm saying that I've had famous people on my show, and what's always interesting is that the famous people don't always bring the people.
True.
That's
So
100%.
if you're focused on famous people only,
Yeah.
you're not, I don't think that serves you the best versus to her point of just serving your audience with what you have to give.
100%.
And if the famous people come, great, I love it, wonderful. But they don't always bring the people. I just thought I'd say that.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
very
what-
valid point.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, like she has a theme. It's like make difficult things easy, right?
Yeah.
So like how clear is the bat signal for like what you're putting out there, right? Like and how differentiated is it, right? Like that is. And then if you are different and you are specific to something and you're out there long enough, you're spreading the surface area of luck of all of a sudden people are going to care about this one day and they're going to find it.
Beautiful. Well, what is one word? We're gonna do a quick takeaway because we gotta go. One word that you can give as a
One
point
word.
of inspiration. 1 or 2. You know, we're podcasters. That you can give to inspire and close out for AI tools growth. Really, the antithesis of this is growing your show and continuing that journey and to build. So.
Understand the value of a stage, right? Like having offering somebody a stage is a valuable thing for you and them. And that is the ultimate lever for building relationships and like getting a meeting with people that normally wouldn't have given you the time of day.
Good to words.
I got you, bro. Be the stage. How about that?
There you go. Be the stage.
Yeah.
I think fun is one for me because I swear to God, we would not be standing here or have a business if we would not be having fun. We've tried multiple things before and it didn't work. So we have a blast creating together. For us, it takes shape on the show. Content is profit. It will evolve into something else. You know, we don't know. But as long as we're having fun, we stay consistent, we stay frequent. So I hope you guys are enjoying creating your shows.
Feedback loop, you know, just see what's resonating with people, do more of that. If you have a hypothesis, test it out long enough to see some sort of results. If it's not serving your goal, maybe change course. And if it's serving your goal, do more of that because a lot of people find something that works and then they change it too. And then they're like, why did it stop working? All right, so if you find something that works, just stick to it.
Good 2 words. Rita, what about you?
Try different. If it doesn't work the first time, try something differently. Go out of the box. You know, what might work for somebody else might not work for you. Like for me, events, relationships, you know, these one-to-one things. And I started posting like on social. That's been good for me. But just try different. Like, don't be afraid to get creative. I saw a post where it was like Sarah Blakely's journey in Spanx, where she got 2 of her friends to wear Spanx t-shirts, like literally black shirts that said Spanx, to walk around Wall Street with them on and take pictures like random people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to make it look like her brand was big. Like, you don't have to have a big budget and a network and all of these things for you to grow. So if it doesn't work the way that you think it should, just try different. So,
Good job, buddy.
love it. Love it.
Good job, guys. Thank you.